how many different times do you have in this question? How many times are there? This is what time? There's 2 times. So what do we do anytime there's 2 times in the question? You got to subtract them, okay? So on the bottom where time is, we're going to take that 15 and that 8, and we're going to subtract them. Does that make sense, Tyler? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, on the top, where we have distance, we have to find the distance of the table. They didn't give us the distance, so you have to find it. So find the 8 and match it up to a distance. Find the 15 and match it up to a distance. Now, when you do that, again, you have how many distances? 2. So what are you going to do when you have 2 distances? You're going to subtract, just like you did with the 2 times. So we're going to put the 225, which goes with the 15, right above it, and the 120, which goes with the 8, right above the 8, and we're going to subtract them. Okay? So 225 minus 120, I get 105. Over 15 minus 8, that's 7. So 105 divides 7, I get 15. And my units are meters over seconds. Now, to find average speed. Average speed is total distance over total time. Now, where's the total distance at? Is it given in the chart? This right here is the total distance. This is the total time. I had several people who added up both columns. You don't have to add them up, okay? So the total distance is 280. And the total time is 20. So 280 divided by 20, what is that?
14. I got 14.
14? So 14 meters per second. Now, if I was to ask you if we were at constant speed, what would you guys tell me?
No.
No, because when you look at this, this was 15 and that was 14. Are they the same?
No.
No. So their speeds are changing. Everybody okay with that? All right. Let me hand back yesterday's, Friday's papers. Now, do you guys still have the work that I handed back on Friday from when I was out? We need to go over that 1 through 8 for those people who did that. Now that we've talked about how to calculate speed. Because several people did that, and we need to go over that. I put this in the wrong second period. All work. This is all. Yeah. It's a good thing I'm learning who scroll this is, because there is nothing other than a J and an S that's recognizable in that scroll. You have Miss V anytime during the day? You had Miss V? Miss V Alta. Did she ever give you a 0 because she doesn't read your name on anything? Oh, because she did that during my last semester on a test.
How'd she give him a 0 if she couldn't see what it was?
She said she didn't know whose handwriting it was. Didn't know whose paper it was. Couldn't read the paper. Couldn't read the name.
How'd she know who to give a 0?
I assume she was in the process of elimination based on who was there and didn't turn it in.
Oh, you're playing.
Watch your language up there. Killing me, I'll be honest.
Do anything.
doing these bags.
I don't my.
Basketball.
Put back in the bag or something.
Oh, I can't go.
So basketball.
Yeah, everybody gets up. All right, on your lab sheets, those of you who have missing points for units, you lost 7 points. Some of you were like Markel and just got tired, I guess, at the bottom two when you stopped writing centimeters. Some of y'all didn't write any centimeters at all in your data table and lost 7 points. Every time you write a number in the data table, you have to put a unit on it. You cannot skip the units, okay? And number 1, it asks you the shape of the graph, straight and diagonal. Number 2, was it a constant speed graph? The answer was yes. How did you know? The line should have been what? Straight. Could have told me diagonal, but straight was the answer I was hunting for. Number 3, I took multiple answers. All I looked for was, Elizabeth, you need to put that on my desk. That'll be good. When you're back. All right. And number 3, all you had to do was take your data, whatever number you had calculated or written down. All right. Markel has 12.4. Some of y'all had 12.6. Some of y'all had 12.8. Whatever number you had measured. All right. So I looked at your number, see what you had, and then I divided by 0.6, and I checked your math. Okay. Now I had to be able to read it. Some of you I can't read your handwriting. And then centimeters per second. All right. On the back, number 4 was what happened to the graph. Let me read the way the question's worded. How will the graph change with time? If you said it won't or it stayed the same, I took that. Basically, you should have told me it continued in the same straight line. It will continue to stay straight. All right. Number 5, if you're an ice skater and you stop gliding, how will the graph look is what the question asked you. Guys, most of you told me you will slow down. Yes, you will. But then the question wanted to know how will the graph look. So if you told me you'll slow down, that's great. But you got to tell me what the graph's going to do. And that's the piece a lot of you didn't bother to tell me. So how will the graph look? This is what most of you told me on the graph if you drew a graph. Okay? You drew this. Distance, time, you had this, and then this. Now, what does this mean for our graph? Didn't we just say that meant a few minutes ago? It's not moving. But what did you just tell me you guys were doing? You were moving. You were slowing down, right? So what would your graph have to do if you were slowing down? It would have to go down, okay? You could have drawn it as a curve going down. You could have drawn it that way going down, but you had to do something to show the line was going down to get credit, okay? That was the piece you were missing. And then on your graph, I don't think anybody in here lost points for not labeling your X and Y axis. I think everybody in this group labeled your X and Y axis and drew the graph correctly, unless you just didn't draw the graph at all. And 4th, I had several people who just didn't draw the graph and lost 15 to 20 points or didn't label the axis for some odd reason. Okay, but I think everybody in here did. Okay? Yeah. Your first point was 0, 0. You didn't connect it. You left it off. You started.
I did.
No, you started up here.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I wasn't taking off for it. Otherwise, I could have. I didn't. I only took off 2 points. Because you could have got more points off. Over here, I not.
You know, but
It's not written. It's written centimeters, and I've been giving you 2 points right there. Yeah, and 81.
see, I was trying to 81 or 83.
I understand. Any other questions? All right, let's look at the worksheet that I gave you last Thursday that said speed calculations and see if you have any questions on that. It's one I gave back at the station to do a current potty out. And then we're either going to do clickers or class flow. I haven't decided which yet. I'll let y'all choose. All right, number 1 should be 4 meters per second. Number 2 should be 105,000. It looks like this, guys. Looks like that. You did it with Colonel Padial last Thursday. It would have been stapled. You'd have had notes, you'd have had distance and displacement, and you'd have had this one. Okay? I'll go back to number 1. Some people are still hunting. I gave it back Friday. But it would have been stapled. It would have had notes, would have had distance and displacement, and it would have had this all stapled together. Okay? So number 1 was 4 meters per second. Number 2 was 105,000. So 105,000 kilometers. We got it now? All right, number 3, 8 meters per second. Number 4, 6 meters per second. Number 5 is average. Number 6 is, where's the graph? Not moving from 15 to 30. Number 7 is 1.6 meters per second. And 8 is 1.62 meters per second. Yes, sir. Yeah. I don't know. I'll look at it again. Yep. So that's what the flat line is. Over there to there. Yeah, where it's flat is where it's not moving. So yeah, where you said 15 to 20. Yeah. Oh, sorry, 15 to 30. So, yeah. All right. Do we need to do any questions on this one, particularly the graph at the bottom?
Can you repeat 8?
Can I repeat 8? Yeah. Number 8 was 1.62 meters per second. What other one did y'all yell out you needed? He got it? All right. So, are we okay on the graph at the bottom? Yes? No?
Yes.
So, if I gave you a graph like this on the next test, everybody can read it. And you can calculate the speed from a graph because you're getting ready to have to do it.
No. No.
No. Okay. That's why I asked. Because you're getting ready to have to do this. After we practice on something else. I'm telling you now, it's part of your free response portion of the test. Probably Friday. I told you, speed and velocity and acceleration are very short units.
No,
All right, I jumped way up there. See if I can't shrink that back down. That's gigantic. All right. Well, that focused. All right. So where on the graph is it not moving? What are you looking for to not be moving on the graph? If I ask that on the test. Where is it not moving? What do you look for?
The numbers.
For what about the numbers, sir? What on the graph do you look for? Where it's going up, where it's flat. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you, Nigel. All right. Not moving. Okay. In your head, not moving has to equal flat. Is everybody okay with that? Oops, a little too high there. Okay, is everybody okay with not moving is flat in your head? So you're just looking for the numbers that equal flat. So was everybody okay with finding 15 and 30? Everybody okay with that span? All right. So the next question said, what is the speed between 10 and 60 seconds? So if I read here, 10 and looks like 60 goes up here, read across, and read across. All right, so again, what do I do whenever I have two distances? So I have 60 minus 10, and I need my two distances, or up there. What do you think? Oops, I mean, slam that. What do you think they look like? Slide that over a little bit so I got a little more space to work. All right, so I hear 30. And what did you say that other one was? 110. Okay, so 110 minus 30 is what? 80 over 50, and 80 over 50 is what? 1 point what? 1.6? That seems kind of high for 80 over 50.
I don't know. I'll look at it.
I mean, the numbers 110 over 50 are correct, but 80 divided by 50 seems high, but it could be right. Okay. I'm not a math wizard, that's why I just said that. All right. So your units are meters over seconds. All right. Everybody's okay with that one? All right. So average speed. Where do you go to do average speed on the graph? Here you go. Where should you go? The very end. Okay. So to do average speed, you go to the very end. All right. So very end would be 80. And there you'd be right there, which would be what? So average speed equals 130 over 80. So 130 divide 80, and I got 1.62, and I just rounded off. Meters per second. Is everybody okay with the graph? All right, and we were okay with the other stuff. Very good. All right, I just want to make sure we were, because you're going to do a graph in a minute with two cars. There'll be two lines on the graph. All right, do you want to try to review with Plickers? Has everybody done Plickers with little cars before? Have you used ClassFlow?
No.
You don't know ClassFlow? Go try it. All right, in the back, let's see if the laptop cart is open or if I need to give you my keys. Huh? Go grab a laptop, see if the cart's open. If it's not, come grab my keys. Mark. Here, take the keys in case. Bring them back if you don't need them. Either way, just bring them back. Grab a laptop. Everybody. Grab your laptop. They're numbered. You know which one's yours.
I don't know why it's the lock, but you know, it's locked now.
Leave the lock. Put that back on top of the cabinet. I know. I did not have the wrong Y'all are going to classflow.com/student.
Can I get some water real quick?
Yeah. It is as soon as I can remember my password username.
Hey, can I get some water?
Yeah.
Oh. Everybody got lotion. Yeah.
Wow, for real. Y'all who is top? Oh, you said it first? You got lotion.
You're not telling me that thing is wrong. I just looked it up.
What is class for? It's like coach.
Yeah.
It's like boring.
I think he's just going coach.
All right.
Professor Hurt.
Back.
You make
One pen.
First one slash student.
Who are all not crazy? Like,
Why are you telling me this is wrong?
did you log in?
I'm positive this is the right username and password. I just used it, updated a while ago.
That's like the country alphabet.
This might be really short in a minute.
It was something.
4, 5,
Country alphabet.
6, 7, 8. Yeah, I got the right number of characters, so I know it's the right doggone password.
So we're talking games on our computer.
Who would have built there? Does that exist? That's still exists.
You have to do that?
And then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
Talking about the listen.
Today?
I thought it
Sure.
Usually, I don't always hear one show.
was embarrassing.
Why does it not want to let me?
Yeah, you gotta type it out. You gotta spell it.
Why
14.
Why are you gonna?
You should know this.
Well, I know the class code, but I can't pull it up until I can get signed in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't use
You trying to
Google.
get a 10 girl now?
Hold on, I'm resetting my password. Says it will not let me log in with my password.
The password is wrong.
It's not wrong. It wasn't wrong earlier today when I used it.
Wrong now.
Yeah, it's wrong now,
Was it Super Bowl?
but it wasn't wrong second period.
Oh yeah, I love the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was so good.
But that was boring, bro.
It was more insane.
It was really nice. I turned it off. And the Patriots won, so it was doubly bad. What do you got? He had the green.
I didn't know.
Brady?
Too much.
You got about 5 rings. Yeah, it's 6 now. They're talking to the Steelers. I don't even know who those are. I know. I'm so bad. I was before.
What was it? I don't know that team, boy.
It was the Rams versus the Patriots. Nothing happened the entire Super Bowl. The Patriots got a three points in the beginning, and then nothing happens in the fourth quarter. Now they have Travis Scott hit him. Yeah.
That's what
They can do it. If the Rams
Let's
go,
go. Turn it off.
Tom Brady just needs to retire. He keeps saying he's gonna retire.
He might throw a picture.
Because he needs to retire. He's like 50 years old.
He's good, right?
Don't matter. He's 50. I mean, good for him. He could be 50 years old.
This, well,
He's gonna be so big.
Yeah, do we sign up for this?
No.
What are we supposed to do?
Just wait on her.
Just wait on me.
So they did, but the only thing that say do is create.
Change the password.
Ain't no game.
Thank you.
So what's the password?
How'd you get that?
No telephone.
I think better change the password before I throw my computer across the room.
Okay. Oh, God.
We all like the best sport.
I like football more.
I don't know.
Let me log in.
National Cup.
But it's
All right.
Oh,
You guys.
There you go. Get it?
Yeah, I got it.
That's a great account.
he's like, no, elementary school.
I don't know why I decided didn't like my password today.
This ball go like everywhere. Can't even hit it.
Did you just ask me if your ball's headed? You have hair on your head.
Apparently, I can't type today either.
It's right there. See, that's right. Huh? That's not our he's over. He's a bowl cut. That's not. You got hair.
I like my
I got hair.
hair.
My hair goes up here. My hair goes up here.
All right. You should not be on a screen that looks like this. You should be on a screen. Hold on, let me log out.
Don't get the password, Mr. Long.
Yo, man, you play basketball?
I don't need a password when I log out. You should be on a screen that looks like this. All
Nope.
right.
I'm not on that. I am.
Put /student.
You need to go to classflow.com/student or /learner. It doesn't matter if you go to /student or /learner. But you need a screen that's going to let you type in a class code. Okay? Now, really?
Look at you.
I really wanted to say it. I really do.
He doesn't like me to flip between being a student and a teacher.
Okay, I'm here. I'm good.
Now, I need to know what we can do and can't do. So, we're going to try a couple things so we can see what we do and can do. Now, this would work a lot better, first of all. Let me preface this by saying this would work better if we had laptops that were touchscreens, but we don't. Our class code is that Q3HFR, and it will stay up there while we're doing this. So you don't have to worry about that.
Oh.
Okay? Now, this is a platform that allows me to send word problems to you, or really any information. It does not have to be in the format of word problems. But I use it as a way to send you math problems for me to allow you to send me back answers. Now, when you have a picture of my backyard, let me know.
What is your
That's
background?
good. That's good.
I see
Yeah,
like
I have a great place, don't I?
don't know what that is.
I see hills and clouds.
Okay?
I see a
Now,
bird.
your name may or may not be there. All right, I tried putting in some names from this semester. It doesn't matter to me if you don't actually see your name, okay? Now, all right, you're having a hard time believing it? Yeah, a little bit. All right, don't sign up as a student. There we go.
What are we on for lunch? I'm gonna go for out here. You have to go to the- as soon as I get paid.
There you go.
And like,
Q3HFR.
just 14.
All right, is there anybody not in yet?
We're gonna do the river that class code.
Nope, it'll stay up. Now,
Your backyard is a beach.
yep.
You live in South Carolina?
We start now?
Did everybody get what's on the board?
Yeah.
Something about McDonald's.
Did everybody get what's on the board?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, I saw that.
on the bottom of your screen, you should have got some tools. All right, you can text, you can draw, you can erase. I want you to solve the problem and submit the answer back to me, please. You can do the work on the screen, you can do it on a piece of paper, take a picture of it and send it back to me. Okay, you do not get very long in which to do this.
So I press submit.
Once you have the answer correct,
You said take a picture of it.
you can, if you do it on notebook paper, yes.
How do I know if it's wrong? Wait,
I'm
what do
going
we
to
see?
go over it shortly.
All right.
Well, I can't, you can do it on the screen.
Why is it gonna
That's why I said, you have tools on your screen.
So we can turn it in on the thing. Yeah, we see.
Yes, you hit submit. So you've got text, so you can type. You have little pens, so you can draw it on the screen with a mouse. Or some people do it on paper and then take a picture of it and send it. However you prefer.
Okay, my camera.
Yeah, sometimes with the texting and trying to type, it doesn't show up where you want. You master the tools.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. I'll make sure I got everybody marked down.
Where's the word like
Other classes.
Everybody keeps getting sick in the school, and it's honestly worrying. Well, sick? Yeah, like all my friends. Yeah, all my friends are like, oh, I'm sick today. I'm like, you were sick last week. They're like, I got sick again. Allergies. I hope so.
So, this is
That's why you have allergies.
I do. Alright, we had Elizabeth, we had Najee, Tyler, Ashley, Stella, Eric's out here,
So I get nose blocked.
Joseph, and
I
Mark.
hate that so much.
They're missing three.
I can't wait till the middle of the night.
You say your activity's going up?
Yep. I told you, I'm not giving you very long. The water, you send it up there? Okay.
I like this. Nice.
School would be faster.
No. The great pace. You got an hour.
I know we can do.
What?
This long?
We get like two people.
You need what? Yeah.
Okay.
That leaves you with one pass left, Tyler.
All right.
After that, it becomes substitution.
I'll read. I literally had to go to the bathroom for the bathroom.
All right, about 30 more seconds, and then I'm going to stop the poll.
More countdown. 30. 29. You say wait, Grace? Like I was in charge of my charger.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it, and then let's see what we came up with. All right. We got 4 and 0. All right.
Who put 2 and 2 and then 5?
All right, I got a definition. 4 and 0.
No, that wasn't me.
All right, this time I got some units. That's nice. Wondering if I was going to get any of those. I got some units. So we seem to all agree with 4 and 0. All right, I got 1 unit. All right, so when we look at the question, what on earth is that now?
Do it.
I have no idea. Cancel. I don't want that. All right, so we all agreed that if we go 2 miles to McDonald's and 2 miles back, that we add the 2 plus 2 to get 4, and the 2 and the 2 are going to do what? For the displacement. They cancel out. So the disagreement in the group seems to be whether or not we need units. Do we need units?
Yes.
So miles should be on one or both answers. Should be on both answers. All right, so did you get a new question?
Yeah.
See? Okay. Find me an answer. Send it back.
I like the shortcut one.
It's not.
I bought the wrong tomatoes.
Yes, I do.
Can we abbreviate these?
Can you abbreviate what?
Blocks.
Yeah.
Just put B.
Sure.
Put BL.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll just put it.
I like the display. I forget how to do that. Oh, it's an extra. I right there.
In this one, no.
I can do the shortcut.
Check your butt out.
I do all that. What you gotta do, Markel?
Check your butt out.
That's hard work. Every time you hard, it's work. I do one word.
Go ahead.
Kids. Or Eastern.
Somebody, a painter up there? It's good, Nigel.
Bring me some noodles.
What do y'all say?
I want some food.
Oh, if you that's what I was
Bring me a nice little bowl, noodles, raw noodles, and bowl. 10 minutes.
I really like that you're saying.
I was just talking. I
You know,
swear to
like,
God.
some people like to use
All right, so those of us who haven't responded, is it because we don't know or we just haven't got the answer typed in? All right, let's hit end and let's see what we come up with. All right. We've got 20 and 12. 20 and 12.
Oh, so what was it? The fourth one.
I had to walk to the.
20 and 12, but I don't know what that mess is. 20 and 12. Let's look at Picasso here.
What? Oh, that ain't me.
nice.
That's edge.
Nah, that ain't me because I got the right answer.
Okay.
Not me.
So, for those people who might not have known how to do this, if we go 4 blocks, whoops, I'm drawing the wrong way. 4 blocks east,
That's what
all right, and then we go 4 blocks east, and then 12 blocks north, and then we walk 4 blocks south. That doesn't even make sense.
Did you get the question?
I was supposed to say 4 blocks west. So that I would cancel my 4 and my 4. But Ms. Wall messed up that question. Yeah, that was my intent when I did this was for the 4 and the 4 to cancel out. But let's work it legit. So the 4 and the 4 plus the 12 would give us distance of 20 blocks. That's correct. Okay. Now to go back and work it correctly. All right. Let's take that out. So the 4 and the 4 would do what with that 12? Because if I go south, what's going to happen with that 12 and that 4? They're going to go backwards. And so what's going to happen? They're going to subtract. So I'm going to have what? I'm going to have 8 blocks, and I'm going to have 4 blocks. And what should I do then? I should do the Pythagorean theorem at that point. Now, would I do anything that hard on the test?
Probably.
No, I would not. Okay. My intent was to do 4, 12, and 4 so that these two canceled out and you were left with 12. I just didn't pay attention to my directions when I was writing the second period. So that was my intent. Okay. I just didn't do a good job paying attention to my directions.
Well, I was trying to do what you just did. You called it best, and I kind of don't appreciate that.
I'm sorry. I was not trying to trip anybody up.
Messes.
All right. One last one.
Okay.
One last question, and then we're going to switch to speed. Did everybody get a new question? All right. All right, last one, and then we're going to switch to speed.
No. What is wrong with that? What did you do this weekend as well?
Nothing very exciting, I'm afraid. My husband had to work Saturday, so just hung around the house, did laundry, grocery shopping, brightened up a little bit. It was pretty relaxing for the most part. No, most weekends are pretty busy at my house. This one was fairly relaxing by most standards.
We usually do a big thing for the Super Bowl where we invite all our family and we eat food, but all of our family is in New Jersey, and my mom came home from work, and she cleans hotels, and she was a little shaken up because she walked into a hotel and there was blood everywhere. On the sheets, on the walls, on like 40 towels.
Wow.
And the hotel was just like, throw it away. You're not cleaning any of that, just throw it away.
I can't
I was like,
I'm not.
I don't know, but her and a girl, the other lady took a video of it, and my mom has pictures of it, and there's blood everywhere. I was like,
What hotel does she work at?
I don't even know. I don't want to go. I'm never going there.
Oh.
Is it Lexington?
He is from Lexington.
Hampton
Probably.
Hampton Inn.
All right. Has everybody had a chance?
No.
Looks like I'm about 5 responses, 4 responses short.
I don't have the displacement.
3.
I don't want to do it.
Okay. Send in what you know.
Hold on, wait, no, you're like 30 seconds. Okay. I got a 40 in math. I don't want it. That was me that took me all the way back there. I didn't have my glasses. She was like, figure it out for a quarter. Yeah.
Great.
All right, send it up here. Quick like. Come on.
It's like that. So right.
Oh, no. It's like, you look at it, it's like. I spelled block wrong. I can't even English right.
All right. So we got 10 and 20, 10 and 10, 10 and 7.2, 10 and 2. All right, so we got a lot of disagreement here. There's another 10 and 7.2, 10 and 7.2, so there's 3 of those. All right, so it seems like we got a bunch of More 10 and 7.2s than anything. But we got some that are not agreeing. So how do we find distance? So we've got some 10 plus, 10, 6 plus 4 to get 10. All right? So we've got the 10 blocks. Distance is not an issue, but displacement is still causing us issues. So if we go 6 blocks north, and then we go 4 blocks west, all right? This is a right angle in math class. So you're using your Pythagorean theorem, all right? We're solving for x. So 4 squared plus 6 squared equal c squared. So what's 4 squared? Plus what's 6 squared? 36 equals c squared. 52 equals c squared, square root, c equals 7.2. That's how they got 7.2 blocks. Does that make sense for those of us who did not get 7.2? Okay? Does that make sense though? All right. Now, we're going to do a couple speed problems, and then we're done with this.
Done for the game, thank you.
No. Does that agenda look done for the day? We're on number 2 up there.
I can see it.
We're on 2.
You got notes? You have 20 minutes?
Yeah, man, we got notes.
Oh my God.
Right.
We ain't going to get to the lab. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh, that's just velocity.
That's the thing. You need to know to get this.
Do we need the notes to do the lab? I'd rather do vocab.
No.
You got big white.
Right.
Oh.
Can we?
I really like one swing like chicken.
I really even quite
Hot boneless wings.
yesterday.
You eat boneless wings? Yeah, I eat boneless wings. That's more than you. But
Hey.
Y'all got a problem?
Okay, yeah.
I'm fat. I like
All right, find me the speed. We did this in the opening. Find me the speed. We're going to do 2 speed questions, and then we're going to move on.
I think someone on this space bar.
It's possible.
On it.
You know when they submit it and we look on the board, we can see the answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Can't even see.
I was hoping you might actually write work down, which is why I'd really like to have touch screens, so I can require the work.
Wait. No.
Yeah, but yours don't have the ability to write on them. There's 3 sets of flat top carts in the building that have touch screens. Morning.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Okay, so you're there.
I don't care.
Is it always just enough time?
It's always distance over time.
Okay. The wrong way.
Yes. I like the please help up there. But I have no idea whose name it is unless I do this.
Don't do that.
Do that. Hey.
Don't do that.
No, go ahead and do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh no, so.
Hello, Mr. Al. How are you today? What you doing down on this end of the building?
He's coming to see me.
On this map, when you get
Okay.
in the science,
Oh,
printer right in there,
it's her.
Miss Wall,
Oh,
science printer right there.
I'm worried.
Thank you.
Oh, you did it better.
So you will find distances that go those two times.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
That's your favorite.
I'm only going to 27. 30. Okay. And you're going
You
to
know, stick it up.
30 minus 20. And then you're going to take and subtract those two. So it'll be distance over time. So it'll be 10 divided by 12. Distance divided by 12. Yes.
What are you doing? What are you corn the burger?
All right. Do we have some answers?
Steve.
Because I see a whole lot of people who don't agree.
A lot of people are wrong. Right. I did it right.
And Tyler, if you can see all those back there from where you're sitting, I'm impressed. All right, let's stop it and see what we got. I got 1.16, 12 over 10. I got,
Please.
those are my favorites. 1.19, that's 1.2, 0.83, 1.1, 1.8. Let me just say, this is a mess. 1.2, 1.7, 0.83. All right, let me leave this one up here. All right. It's got work, which I like. All right. So, how do we find speed? Speed is equal to distance over time. So, the person who did this one circled their information. 15 seconds, 27 seconds. Okay? Exactly what we need. This number and this number. Now, two distances, they wrote them on top. All right? I don't know why that erased. There we go again. All right? Now, it doesn't matter which one's first. They've got the distances on top. I would have probably said 30 minus 20, but it doesn't matter. They got 10 on top. Divided by 15 and 27. I got 12 on the bottom. They have one mistake. What's the mistake? It doesn't matter. They wrote 12. I mean, either way, whether they wrote it as 30 minus 20, they still got a positive 10. And 27 minus 15, they still got positive 12. The problem is when they divide. How do you punch that in the calculator? It's 10 divided by 27, and you get 0.83.
You mean 12?
Sorry, did I say 27?
Yeah.
Oh, 10 divided 12, you get that meters over seconds. All right? They did all the work right, and they punched it in the calculator backwards. They said 12 divide 10 in the calculator instead of 10 divide 12. Okay? So when you punch that in the calculator, it's whatever number's on top divided by whatever number's on the bottom. Okay? The answer is 0.83. So the people who had 0.83 have the right answer. Okay? But those of you who had the 1.2, you did what this person did. You have 12 divided by 10. The 10 is in the numerator. It is divided by what's on the bottom. Does that make sense? Okay. All right.
Can you show me yourself?
Last one. Everybody got it? All right, last question. Once you have submitted your answer, go put your laptop in the cart. All right, once you've submitted, go put your laptop in the cart.
It's submitted, I don't put it.
Then resubmit. It should give you an opportunity to send a new one. And once you've submitted, just go put your laptop up.
Yes, I did. Grace. No, it's this says something. This was it.
Wait, what do you?
This is yeah, that's exactly.
Especially about a heckler.
Mm-hmm.
Especially about a heckler. Or first.
Yeah. Sad part is I've read it before. I've read it before.
What it was called?
Inside. Out.
Inside out.
I think. Can't remember.
If you got with somebody inside the mental state, or external state.
Yeah.
You got to control
All right. All right. Let's see what we got. Yeah. Who's asking?
Yes.
Javion, yeah.
Can I go? No.
No. And not all go at the same time. So I've got a couple outliers that are not 0.86. All right. So we need to talk about it only because I have like 3 answers that are not 0.86.
my percentage.
All right. So how do we find average speed? For those people who did not know, what's the total distance? 50. What's the total time? All right. So take your total distance, which is 50, divided by the total time, which is 58, and you get 0.86 meters over seconds. Okay? That's how you do that for those people who did it wrong. Okay? The total distance is the 50. It has to be punched in the calculator first, divided by the 58. Everybody got it? All right. Now, the speedy journey graph I'm probably going to do for homework. I know you don't want to hear that, but that's what's going to happen so that we can do the notes so we can do the lab tomorrow. All right. Find your notes. We can talk about velocity. And then we can do the lab tomorrow.
Like 50-minute notes. Varsity.
So you're gonna need a little work to make the varsity team if that's what you got.
That's about how good Lexington plays. See.
All right, so we're gonna talk velocity today. So those of you who like titles, call it velocity. Now, velocity is speed with direction. So last week when we were talking about your formula on the formula sheet, I told you that speed was not on the formula sheet because, Grace, that's going to leave you with only one left. Remember, once you guys exceed 3, everything is a 10-minute lunch detention.
How many do I have?
You haven't used one, you have 3. You used one?
Have I?
Yep.
How many do
So I got 2 left.
You get 3 for the entire semester till June,
Why though?
because that's my rule.
If we spend 20 minutes, can we refresh one of them?
No, you cannot. There's no refresh, no start over. You get 3. All right, velocity, speed with direction. So when we talked about this last week, we talked about it on the formula sheet. Speed is not given on the formula sheet because velocity is the same as speed. The only difference is velocity comes with a what?
Direction.
Comes with a direction, okay? So how is velocity different from speed? Speed does not have direction. Velocity has direction. So when we were calculating speed, did I list a direction in any of those word problems that you did last week? No. These problems are going to say so-and-so was traveling 15 miles west. When we calculate the answer, we will have to give the direction to give a velocity. Okay? So, will velocity be a scalar quantity or a vector quantity? It's a vector. Because it has direction, it's a vector. Okay? Anything that gives direction is a vector quantity. All right, everybody caught up with me? Or do I need to wait? Everybody there? All right, so the formula that they show on your sheet is V equals, let me make sure I do it right. I think it's got 2 triangles. Yep. Now, last week, when we did speed equals d over t, I didn't draw those triangles. Why didn't I draw those triangles? What does a triangle mean in math class? Does anybody know? It means what? I didn't hear what you said, Nigel. You might have said the right answer. I didn't hear you.
3 angles that equal 180.
Nope. Don't think geometry class for this. What do you say?
Somebody said X.
Okay, don't think geometry class. That's why I said that. Don't think geometry class for this. Okay? If I say delta, has anybody ever heard the term delta in math class? No? All right. Delta means change in.
Or change in direction.
Okay? So this will be change in distance or change in time. Now, what did I tell y'all to do anytime you had 2 distances or 2 times? Okay, so that means we subtract. So when I write the formula down, do we have to write the triangles?
Yeah.
Because if you have two distances, what are you going to do if you have two distances? You're going to subtract. If you have two times, what are you going to do with them? You're going to subtract. As long as you know that, do you have to write those triangles all the time? No. So when we wrote the speed formula, we wrote the formula is S equals D over T. So when you had two distances, you subtracted them. So if we write the velocity formula, we can just write it as V equals D over T, because we know if we have two distances, we're going to do what with them? We're going to subtract them. Okay? So as long as you know that, you don't have to write those triangles constantly. Now, how are we going to show constant velocity? Very good. So how are we going to show constant speed? What kind of line? What kind of straight line? There you go. It's got to be straight, and it has to be diagonal. That's why I asked those words earlier and on Friday, because straight doesn't always imply diagonal. And to be a constant velocity graph, it has to be labeled distance and time, and it has to be diagonal. Now, let's say we change it up a little bit, just because we can. And Diavion wants to be challenged today. All right, let's say we label it velocity and time. What do we do then?
That's a great question. I think you should answer that.
I know the answer. I think y'all should think about it.
I don't think you
It
do.
doesn't really.
Does it matter?
It does matter. Think math class.
What did you say?
I want it to be constant velocity, but I changed the axis from distance and time to velocity and time. So how would the graph line need to change to be velocity and time, but I want it to be constant velocity? All right, Elizabeth's over there doing this number. All right, so let me draw it up there. Now look, I want constant velocity, meaning velocity is not going to do what? Okay, so let me just write that. It's not changing. Okay? Velocity is not changing. So I want to illustrate it on this graph as it's not changing. Now Elizabeth said to draw it this way. So, do you agree or disagree with what Elizabeth said to draw?
I don't know.
I
agree.
I agree.
All right, so I got two agrees, I got an I don't know, and I disagree. Okay? So, what are we trying to show about velocity on that line? If we draw it that way, think math class, what are we saying about the velocity if we draw the line that way? It's not changing. Is that what we're trying to say about velocity if we draw it that way?
Yeah.
Then yes, then that's the way it wants to look. Okay? Now, let me ask this. If I want velocity to increase, how would I want the line to look if I want velocity to increase? Like what other one, Nigel? Okay, I need you to be more specific.
The one on the left.
The one on the left. What did you say, Grace? Yes. So, that would be Nigel's on the left. Straight and diagonal would be increasing velocity. Okay? Now, we're going to give that another name tomorrow. What's wrong, dude? He's laying there. His eyes are rolling around in his head. Like I'm getting ready to fall asleep. You stayed up and watched the Sleep Bowl last night. That was some good stuff, wasn't it?
That's a woman.
That was garbage.
I didn't even turn it on. I got the highlights this morning.
No, the highlights.
I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, not at all. Nothing happened to the last quarter. Nobody even scored a touchdown until like the last quarter.
See? I didn't miss a thing.
The best thing about the Super Bowl was the commercials. And even those were like,
I didn't watch those. All right.
yeah, I was like,
So the last thing we need to talk about for velocity, because really, if velocity calculates the same way as speed, are there any new calculations? No, you already know how to calculate everything, except this. It's the only new piece. Combining velocities. Now, if two objects travel in the same direction, what do you suppose we do if they go in the same direction? For example, I drive to my mom's and the wind is blowing behind me. So it's like pushing the car. What do you suppose the wind does to my car? Makes it go faster. So what do you do to figure out the velocity if the wind and the car go in the same direction?
Subtract the two and then add it to one.
All right, so we're going to subtract or we're going to add? We're not going to do both. Which one are we going to do? They go in the same direction. You're going to add. You're going to add the velocities. Okay? If two objects travel in opposite directions, what do you suppose we're going to do? Then you will subtract the velocities. Okay?
Wait, so like you just add them to the two and it's the same?
There you go. All right. So when I travel to my mom's, oftentimes because of wind patterns and the current, it tends to push the car and we go faster, we get better fuel mileage. But when we come back, the wind is in our face, it slows us down and we get worse fuel mileage.
Does it like make that much of a difference?
It does. Also, we're going downhill because we're going down towards sea level and coming back, we're climbing.
What driving?
Yes. All right, so I want to try to work two problems before we leave, and then we'll be done for the day. One is pretty short. I just want to make sure we understand how to write the answer, and then one will be one of these. Okay? Just making sure everybody's caught up. Malika and Isela are still writing. All right, we there? All right, I'll give you a moment to write that down because we just need to talk about how to write the answer. Because we have not written an answer where we calculate velocity.
What kind of unit do you use?
The same, except you have to include the direction.
What?
Same unit, except you have to include direction when you write a velocity answer. Because remember, velocity is speed with direction. So when you write the answer, you have to include the direction in the answer. That's why we're doing this. That's the whole purpose. And just let people catch up. Yes.
You know we're
I'm your teacher assistant now. $5 an hour.
$5 an hour.
$5 a teacher assistants make?
$5 every 10 minutes.
Right.
I stay for 30.
Right. All right. So velocity. What's the formula for velocity? Distance over time. It's the same as speed. Nothing is different. Okay? Same formula, same calculation we just practiced. Okay? So velocity. Oh, before we leave, when I walk back there in a few minutes, are the laptops going to be in the same order you got them out, in numerical order? Or am I going to lose my crap when I go back there in a few minutes?
I'll put 30. I'll put 9.
Go look for me, because we won't be going to lunch at 1:20 if they're not in numerical order. Huh?
I
Did you?
Yes, I do.
I gotta do that in every other class I take meters out.
I just happened to look back there, and they don't look too neat from this angle. Yavian, am I going to get upset?
I don't know, I haven't got that far.
Okay.
Well, wasn't plugged
Okay.
right now.
Who was number one?
That's in the first column.
Who was it?
Now James number two.
Number three was plugged in, so if it's unplugged, so.
I was using number 17.
They do tend to come unplugged if people jostle them.
I was using number 17.
Chromebook.
They should be in for future reference. When you get out a laptop, they are in numerical order because Mr. Wardlow uses them first period. So they are in numerical order. And they go back in numerical order. Yes.
Oh, when I got my calculator, it was not in numerical order.
Calculator.
I mean, on my computer.
What if it's like in the right section, like the section is like 14?
That I might not get overly worked up, but it better be in that
They're in the
section.
right places, it's not in the right, in no vehicle.
And I might not get too wigged out. All right, so how do I find the velocity? What is the distance?
300.
300. So 300 kilometers over, what is our time? 5 hours. So when we calculate, what is that? 60 kilometers over hours. Now, that is what we would have written for speed. Velocity requires an extra piece to the answer because velocity has direction. Look in the question and find the direction. You have to write east on the answer for velocity because velocity specifies the direction. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you very much.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
What if it's finished? What if it's like,
That we will not do two directions. Okay, that would get into heavy vectors and that would be physics.
back it up?
Okay, so we will not. Okay, now that's the last one we're going to do today. Here. Yep, I will since you. Whoops, there. Since you did the. Got it.
Yeah.
There we go. Last one we're going to do today. Now this one is a combining velocity one. Okay. So we're on a river. We're moving at a speed of 10, and the boat moves with the current at 25. What's the velocity of the boat?
35 miles over hour.
Yeah, 35 miles an hour. Don't you got the direction? Oh, wait, is it?
With the current. There's one that's like I'm gonna know it.
You could say with the current. If you put down the river, though, I would not want that long.
Do it. Huh? Oh, yeah, you're right. So.
With the current. All right. So, can we talk about what you would do?
Yes.
So when you look at it, first of all, if you calculate velocity, is there a distance or a time up there? No. So that's what tells you this one's different. See how it says with the current? Is the boat going against the water? That tells you the boat and the water are traveling in the same direction. Okay? So you would say 10 plus 25, which gives you 35 miles per hour. Now, before you would try to square those, in math class, which y'all wait till I'm done talking. I haven't let y'all leave late for lunch yet. I'm not starting today. Do you square those?
Yeah.
No, you're not multiplying. Okay? You only square if you multiply, and we're not multiplying. Okay? Now, for the direction, you would just write with the current. Now, homework. No, I didn't forget. minutes left before the bell. Or the lack of bell, I should say. There are only 7 questions, not only. 7 questions is overly taxing. The graph is where you get the answers from. You have to read the graph to answer the 7 questions. Read.
I'm illiterate. Why you going to listen to?
No, you make up 10 minutes. You don't even need to stay yet. Because you can't build them in advance.
I'm tired of homework.
No, you don't. Since you're adding subtracting, you do these kind of problems, don't get it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll stack it all. Tuesday, Wednesday. Those of you who might be like Delvion and need to do some work with me this week, I'll be here Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Hey, Grace, have you told her paper? It's not here.